R&B reviews. Today I finally found the time to do my list of the movies that I thought were the best of 2019, as well as a small list of movies that I was disappointed by from that year. Now, I just want to let everyone know, if you don't regularly watch my channel, I didn't get to see every single movie that came out this year. I didn't really have the time or even the money to go see everything. So, unlike a YouTuber that has a movie review channel that can see just about every movie that came out here, they probably have a more comprehensible and perhaps more diverse list than what I was able to see. So if you look at my list and you're like, why isn't The Irishman or 1917 or Jojo Rabbit on there? It's because I didn't have the time to see all the movies. I hope to get to 1917 soon. So basically, I just want to give you guys a heads up. And also, you heard right, I didn't say I was doing a best and a worst list, because again, I felt like I didn't see enough movies to justify having a worst list. There were movies that I were disappointed by, but there wasn't really a movie that I thought was really terrible that I didn't recommend. So here's how this works. I did a list of 3 movies that I was disappointed by, and a top 5 list of the movies that I saw of 2019 that I thought were the best. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kick off with the 2019 disappointing list, and then we'll move on to the best. So let's start with number 3. Now, number 3, I put this movie at the bottom because I wasn't really expecting it to be great. It's the X-Men: The Dark Phoenix. Now, like I just said, I wasn't expecting it to be great, but I wasn't really interested in seeing it. My frequent guest co-host, Darren, he really wanted to see it, so I said, okay, I'll go see it with you. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't really good either. And this was the first film to be directed by Simon Kinberg, who was involved in the X-Men series that used to be at Fox, both as a writer and as a producer on some past entries. Now, on the technical side, the movie was well done. The camera angles, the special effects, I thought were terrific. I even liked some of the acting, like Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique and Ty Sheridan as Cyclops and Alexandra Shipp as Storm. But I really didn't feel involved in the story like I was with Logan or Days of Future Past. And I also felt that the action scenes, except for the last one, to be very lackluster. Jessica Chastain plays the villain, but I felt like she wasn't really needed, but her subplot really didn't add anything. I would rather see the whole film focus on Jean Grey struggling with her new powers as the Phoenix and her feeling like everybody is abandoning her. I really like that aspect of the film. Like I said, while it wasn't a terrible movie, I left the movie feeling, not bad, not good. So this ended up being the last X-Men movie to be released by Fox before the Disney merger, so I felt like it kind of ended on a sad note, but whatever, it is what it is. Number 2, the second movie I was disappointed with was The Secret Life of Pets 2. Now, I was really entertained by the 2016 first film. I was really looking forward to the sequel. I liked some of the story elements, and I like Max's owner, Kate, he's voiced by Patton Oswalt. Kate gets married and has a baby, and it explores how Max has to adjust to this new addition to the family, as well as him being kind of like a hover pet, trying to protect the baby from every danger that can happen. Now, I like that the film argued that it's not always a good idea to be constantly overprotective of kids and sugarcoating everything just to keep them from growing and learning. But I felt like there were segments that I thought were better than others, but many of the subplots I felt like were thin. It was a decent time filler, but I found myself not really caring about the characters as I had in the first film. The gags, especially the ones showing what the pets do when their owners are gone, to me were not as good as what they were before, or even really memorable. I thought it might be something interesting for people to watch at home, but overall I felt like it was something that you didn't have to catch in the theaters. What was the one movie that disappointed me in 2019? That would be Tolkien. A movie that's a biopic on author J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and it starred Nicholas Hoult as Tolkien, and it goes back to when he was fighting in World War I, and it also explores his early life as a boy that included tragic events, as well as his time in university when he banded with friends over their love of literature and art. And it also touches on the subject of his love for languages, and you see images serving as the inspiration for the locations of his stories. It also touches on his love for Edith, who lives in the same boarding house as Tolkien, and she's played by Lily Collins. Tolkien, I thought it was a good movie, but I think I was expecting more. At first, the movie felt like a crash course on his early life, and I felt like I was unable to just connect with him as much as I wanted. But I think once he meets Edith, I felt like I was able to connect to him much better. There were scenes demonstrating class differences of the time, and I thought that they were very well done. Like there's a restaurant scene where Tolkien takes her out, and she feels underdressed because she notices all the other women there wear hats and she's missing one. And that scene also explores his love of language. So Holt and Collins thought had great chemistry together, and because the two characters have similar backgrounds, but what separates them is their faiths. Tolkien is a Catholic and Edith is an Anglican. Tolkien, the movie itself, has its moments, but I felt like constantly seeing imagery of how that influenced his books. I often felt like that was kind of heavy-handed. I also felt like I was more of an observer rather than somebody that was feeling for the characters like I wanted to. And the movie, I thought, could have been more perceptive than what it was. I mean, the cinematography was good, and I liked some of the acting, but the movie left me feeling, it was entertaining, but I just wanted more than what it ended up giving. And now let's kick off my best list of the movies of 2019. Now, first off, I just want to give an honorable mention to a movie. The movie is Stan and Ollie, and the reason why I say honorable mention is because the movie was released in limited release in December of 2018, but it did not get a wide release, and it didn't come to my area until January of 2019. The reason why I'm doing this is because one year I saw a movie called Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and I mentioned it as being one of the best movies of 2011. However, it had been again released in limited release the previous December, and people were like, "Well, Rob, that movie came out in 2010. That doesn't count," and all this. So that's why I'm not going to officially include it as part of my list. But basically, Stan and Ollie stars Steve Coogan and John C. Reilly as the classic comedy team of Laurel and Hardy, who were popular with moviegoers in the 1930s and the 1940s. Coogan and Reilly did a really good job at recreating both the characters and the real-life personalities of Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy. I thought some of the behind-the-scenes stories of their working relationship was interesting. Now, number 5, I went back and forth on this one. I was trying to decide whether to do Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, which is the sort of biopic about Fred Rogers and his friendship with a journalist that came to interview him, or Dr. Sleep. But in the end, I chose Dr. Sleep. This is a sequel to Stephen King's book, The Shining, and it explores what happened to Danny Torrance after what happened to him and his family at the Overlook Hotel. Now, King wrote this after fans were asking, what happened to Danny? What happened to Danny? And he even said he wondered that himself, so here came this book. Ewan McGregor plays an adult Danny who is trying to overcome the memories that he had with it during his time at the hotel. And the movie was adapted, edited, and directed by Michael Flanagan, who also worked on The Haunting of Hill House, which is a show on Netflix, as well as the horror movie Oculus. Dr. Sleep is more of a suspense character thriller rather than a regular horror movie. Instead of relying completely on jump scares, it's very atmospheric. It is a deliberately paced movie, and many scenes allow us, the viewer, to explore the characters, including a group of soul eaters and a girl that also has the gift to shine. Her name is Abra, and we get to know their personalities, or at least get an idea of them. The movie serves as an adaptation of the book, as well as a sequel to Stanley Kubrick's 1980 version of The Shining. And I think Michael Flanagan did a good job at balancing the movie for both audiences of the books as well as the 1980 film. But he does use his own style without copying Kubrick. The acting was good all around. I thought McGregor was excellent as the tortured Danny. Rebecca Ferguson is both alluring and threatening as Rose, who is the leader of the Soul Eaters. And the rest of the cast is made up of character actors who do an excellent job at bringing the characters to life. Now, the movie didn't do well at the box office, and I think people who didn't see the trailers may not have realized what it was. I hope that this movie finds an audience and that people do give it a chance. All right, number 4, Rocket Man, which is the biopic of Elton John, the rock and pop icon. Now, often compared to Bohemian Rhapsody, which was, of course, is the Queen Freddie Mercury biopic, I think I enjoyed Rocket Man more. I really like the angle of Elton John trying to find himself, and he does this through rehab when he looks back on his life. Taron Egerton made me feel like I was watching Elton John. Same thing with the supporting cast. They all had deep emotion, and I felt like they studied their real-life persons very well. Egerton, I think, got Elton's movement and emotional portrayal down right. Elton wants to find love and acceptance, and he thought that he could find it through fame. The movie is very well paced, and I didn't think it was rushed at all. I got into what he went through more than I did with Queen and Mercury in Bohemian. Now, the trailers didn't mention that this was a musical. I thought it was going to be a straight biopic like Bohemian Rhapsody, where it was all character drama. I felt like sometimes this worked. Like, for example, there's a scene where Elton John is working out his hit song, Your Song, which I thought worked very well, but there are other times where there are songs that just stop the story cold. There's something for fans to hear, but I felt like it wasn't always needed. But nonetheless, I thought Rocketman was very well acted, entertaining, and to me, it was an interesting movie. Number 3. Toy Story 4. Now, some people thought Toy Story 3 ended the characters on a good note and wondered why a fourth was needed, and would it be good? I thought Toy Story 4 was solid. I cared about the characters and felt like they were relatable. The movie did a good job at balancing the comedy with the dramatic and suspenseful elements. The movie, I thought, did a good job at being relatable. A new character, Forky, is adjusting to his new surroundings and he's curious about things much like a child, and Woody is like a parent or guardian who is looking out for Forky. Bo Peep returns to this movie, and I like that she got more to do here than she did in the first two films, and she and Woody play off each other very well. I thought Toy Story 4 was touching, comedic, and I think no matter how old the member of the audience is, there's something for them to relate to. Alright, now we're about to enter blockbuster territory here. My number 2 pick was The Joker, which of course is the controversial and divisive character movie from Warner Brothers, starring Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, who is trying to hold down a job as a clown and has to take care of his mother while trying to break out as a stand-up comedian in a rundown Gotham City. Phoenix is great as Fleck, who is trying to keep it together and do good, but is constantly being beaten down and people make fun of him. Phoenix does great movement as Fleck, and I usually don't say that when I'm looking at the acting in movies, but he has great movement as the character. It's so dramatic and shows how screwed up he is. The movie touches on several relatable issues like cutting funding for programs that benefit people. There seems to be a growing class gap in Gotham City, and I also like that the movie asks the audience if what is happening is really happening or is it all Fleck imagining it in his head. The movie is dark, gritty, and it can be creepy, and it's definitely not for everybody, but I enjoyed it. There was controversy that you sympathize with Fleck and the violence that he creates, but while I felt bad for Fleck, I really didn't sympathize with him committing violence to get a point across. Alright, so what was the number 1 movie that I saw in 2019? Well, this one is going to be kind of obvious. I would say that would be Avengers Endgame, which is, of course, the continuation from Avengers Infinity War. I thought it was a satisfying movie. I thought the characters had depth, and for a movie that was 3 hours long, I thought it all added up really well. I liked how the character-driven the movie was, and it was darker than some other Marvel movies. The movie, of course, was full of surprises. That's definitely for the fans of the characters, and I figured they would enjoy it. I also like that the team that goes on the mission was broken up, and you get paired up with people, with characters, working with other characters that they normally wouldn't. And I thought that was a good change of pace, and I thought it ended up working pretty well. It's also a tribute to the cinematic universe up to this point, and to take all the movies up to this point and to try to connect everything together. The action was well done, and I can't wait to see what the next Marvel movies will bring. I know for many it will be hard to continue on since many moviegoers love some of the characters, but I thought it was a well done popcorn action drama flick. Alright, so let's go over these two lists. My disappointing list. At number 3, I put The Dark Phoenix. Number 2, The Secret Life of Pets. And number 1, Tolkien. Now, the best movies that I saw in 2019. Number 5, Dr. Sleep. Number 4, Rocketman. Number 3, Toy Story 4. Number 2, Joker. Number 1, Avengers Endgame. So anyway, that's my list, and what did you think of it? Or do you disagree with any of these films and where I placed them? And what were some of the best movies or the disappointing or even the worst movies you saw in 2019? Go ahead and post your comments below. I do greatly appreciate, getting comments and feedback, and I do like reading everything that comes in, so thank you very much. And of course, feel free to look at some other reviews of movies that you can either watch at home or in the comforts of your own home. And if you're interested, please hit the like button for this video and hit the subscribe button. All right, thank you very much for watching. I hope that I can continue to bring some more movies that are available, either something for you to watch at home or even to catch in the theaters this year. And hopefully I'll get some new videos up very soon. Thank you very much for watching.